When I got to my uncle's compound, the gate was slightly open. That's strange. He never left things open. He locked everything, doors, windows, even emotions. But today, the gate just stood there, open, waiting. I stepped in. The house looked the same. Tall, quiet, familiar. But something felt off. There was noise inside. Not the sound of greetings. Not laughter, but grief. Soft weeping. Raised voices. Something breaking. I paused at the front door. My heart started to race. I walked in. The hallway greeted me, but not like before. The air was heavy. The shadows longer than they should be. Like something heavy had soaked into the walls. Then I saw them. People. Not strangers. Family. Some sitting on the tiled floor. Some pacing. Some huddled together, like sheep in a storm. And yet, no one looked at me. I cleared my throat. "Uncle, what's going on?" Silence. I stepped closer. "Is everything all right?" Nothing. Then I saw Obina, our houseboy since forever. "Obina," I called. He walked past me. Right past me. Didn't glance. Didn't nod. Didn't see. In fact, he brushed through me. Like I wasn't there. I turned sharply. "Hey, Obina." He kept going. Not a blink. My skin went cold. I looked around again. Nobody was looking at me. Not a single face turned. Not one person acknowledged my presence. I wasn't invisible. I was unseen. My throat tightened. My breath came shallow. "What is this?" I whispered to myself. "Why can't they see me?" And then, I heard something. A woman's voice. Shaky. Sobbing. "Oh God, why him? Why now?" Another voice chimed in. He was so young. My ears started ringing. My name hadn't been mentioned yet, but something inside me knew. Whatever this was, it had everything to do with me. I moved deeper into the house. Each step felt heavier than the last. There was no light in the sorrow. No warmth in the faces. Just people, gathered like shadows around something unseen. Still, no one noticed me. I walked past them, heart pounding louder than my footsteps. "Uncle." I tried again. No response. I shouted this time. "Uncle, what is going on?" Not even a flicker. I turned sharply, my eyes scanning the room. And that's when I saw it. At the center of the sitting room, on the coffee table, a framed photograph, surrounded by flowers. I stepped closer, and my soul went cold. It was me. Wearing my graduation gown. Smiling. Frozen in time. "No," I whispered. I took another step. That's when I noticed the white cloth draped over the table, the black ribbon, the candle, the soft incense trailing into the air like a departing spirit. I backed away slowly, heartbeat rattling in my chest. The tears, the wailing, they weren't about someone else. They were about me. My hands trembled. I reached for the photo, and my fingers passed right through it. Just air. Just nothing. I turned wide-eyed and rushed to my uncle. He sat on a couch, head bowed, eyes bloodshot. I yelled, "Uncle, it's me. I'm right here." I grabbed his arm, but my hand slid through him like wind. I stumbled backward. No, this isn't real." I started speaking faster. "Somebody talk to me, please. I'm right here. I'm not gone, look at me." But the room didn't move. The voices didn't stop. The grief continued without me. I looked around, eyes darting, panic rising. It was like I didn't exist, like I had been erased. And then faintly, somewhere in the hallway behind me, I heard someone say my name. He was such a great guy. Such a tragic way to go. He didn't even get to enjoy life after school. I froze. I didn't blink. I just stood there, as the truth began to pour over me like ice water. Whatever happened wasn't just a bad dream. Something terrible had happened to me. I don't know how long I stood there. Everything around me blurred. The room, the people, their voices. Only one thing stayed sharp. That photo of me, smiling, alive, unaware. There was something else beside it. A certificate folded slightly at the edge. My graduation certificate. Suddenly, it all began to come back. I remember the graduation hall, the cheers, the gowns, The heat of the sun on my face. My mother's laughter. My father's awkward pride. Photos. So many photos. I had made it. I had done it. That night, I told them I needed a break. Some time in the city. Just for a while. Uncle called, said, "Come spend some weeks here. You need the rest." I packed light. Just a few clothes. Boarded a bus. Watched the trees fly past. But then, nothing. I snapped back. What happened to me? I muttered, staring at my own picture. There were no answers. People came in, one by one, whispering prayers, placing flowers, wiping tears. No one noticed me standing beside the coffin, because I wasn't a guest. I was the host. A cousin muttered, he had dreams, wanted to travel abroad, start something of his own. A friend added, he was just talking about it last week. Their words felt like knives. I'm still here. I shouted. I didn't go anywhere. But the silence that answered was louder than any scream. I stared down at my body, at the stillness I now wore like a second skin. And that was the moment I truly knew. I wasn't dreaming. I wasn't sick. I wasn't forgotten. I was dead. They buried me, while I stood there and watched. I couldn't even cry. I tried, but no tears came. Maybe ghosts don't cry. It was a small funeral. Not crowded. Not empty. Just sad. My body lay in a polished coffin, too fine for someone who never liked attention. They had dressed me well. Dark suit. White shirt. My hands crossed over my chest like I had finally surrendered. I stood beside it, staring at myself. My face looked like it belonged to someone else now. Mourners filed in, one by one. Old schoolmates, church people, distant relatives. Some whispered prayers. Others just stood silently. A few sobbed loud enough to shake the room. I walked past them, looked into each face. Some genuine, some pretending, some blank. A classmate I hadn't seen in years leaned over my coffin. He had so many plans, he said softly. Talked about starting a company. Wanted to move abroad. Someone behind him added, he was just getting started. I screamed. I begged. I tried to shake them, push them, move anything. But nothing moved. Not the flowers. Not the people. Nothing. Then I saw my mother. She walked in slowly. Her steps were broken. Her soul even more. My father followed, trying to hold her, but she didn't want comfort. She wanted her son. She collapsed beside my coffin and held it tight. Her wails were like thunder. The kind that doesn't come from the sky, but from somewhere deeper. Somewhere under the earth. She kept repeating my name. Over and over. My boy, my boy. And I stood there. Useless. Weightless. Absent. I reached for her. Tried to touch her shoulder. Whisper in her ear. But I couldn't. My fingers slid through her like air. She was real. I wasn't. They said final words. Prayers. Poems. Someone mentioned how kind I was. How peaceful. I wanted to scream. That's not peace in that box. That's me. But the words never left my mouth. Only silence. They lowered me into the ground later that evening. I followed them. Watched them. Watched me. They threw sand over my coffin. Dust to dust. Ash to ash. And I stood above my grave, listening to the sound of the world trying to bury me. I don't remember leaving the graveyard. One moment I was staring into the hole in the ground, watching the last handful of sand fall over my casket. The next, I was standing in my village. The sky looked the same, but everything else felt off. Too quiet. Too still. I walked down the familiar path leading to my father's house. Chickens still scratched the dusty ground. A neighbor's child ran past me, laughing, but didn't see me. Didn't feel me. I turned the corner, and there they were. My parents, sitting on the floor of the compound. My mother's head rested in her hands, her wrapper loose and dusty. She wasn't crying now. She had moved beyond tears. My father sat silently beside her, his eyes empty. People surrounded them. Neighbors, cousins, some praying, some whispering. I tried to speak, tried to scream. Nothing. I moved closer, hoping, somehow, my mother would feel me, hear me, sense me. I knelt beside her. "Ma, it's me," I whispered. But her eyes didn't flinch. She stared into the dirt, rocking slowly. as if she could feel the outline of my absence. Then it happened again. That strange pull, like gravity from another world. Suddenly, I was no longer in the village. I was on the road. Then in my uncle's hallway again. Then at a spot I didn't recognize. Time, space, none of it made sense anymore. I wasn't walking. I was being moved, drifting from place to place, familiar, unfamiliar, forgotten. I saw friends, some laughing in a bar, like life had just continued, some scrolling through photos of me, some posting those photos online with broken captions. Still can't believe you're gone. Life is unfair. But even their grief felt far away, like I was a fading headline, already being erased. I walked past a mirror once, out of instinct. I looked, but nothing looked back. No reflection, just the dim outline of a figure I didn't recognize. Was I trapped? Was I stuck? Had something gone wrong with death? I didn't know. I only knew one thing. I couldn't stop moving. And everywhere I went, I didn't belong. The nights were the worst. In death, night didn't feel like absence of light. It felt like something woke up when the world slept. I started seeing them after the third night. Shadows, long twisted, always in the corners. They didn't walk. They floated like smoke with eyes. At first, I thought they were just my imagination, leftover fear from everything I'd seen. But then they spoke, in whispers, words I didn't understand, languages that crawled inside my ears and left a ringing in my skull. One of them brushed past me once, and my chest turned cold. Not like ice, like emptiness, like it tried to touch something inside me and found nothing left. They never came close during the day, only at night, only when the world was silent. That's when they gathered and watched, from rooftops, from under drains, from the corners of cracked ceilings, eyes like dim coals, and mouths that moved even when they weren't speaking. One night, I was walking past an abandoned bus stop. Everything was quiet. Then I felt it, that familiar chill. I turned slowly, and there it was, tall, crawling, eyes where its chest should be, limbs too long for its frame. It wasn't just looking at me. It was smiling. It whispered something I couldn't understand. Then it reached toward me. I ran, but the road stretched. Every step felt longer, heavier. I looked behind me, and there were more now. 5, 10, a dozen. Some flying, some crawling, some dragging their own bodies like sacks. They didn't chase me with speed. They chased me with presence. The air became thicker with every step, their whispers louder. I tripped, fell into the middle of a broken road. They surrounded me. No faces, no mercy. One leaned close. Its voice sounded like metal being dragged across bone. You do not belong here. But you are not gone either. Just when I thought they would take me, a light flashed, not bright, but warm, enough to scatter them like insects. They shrieked and vanished into the cracks. The road was empty again, silent, but I knew now, I wasn't alone in this realm. Something was watching me, and something else was hunting me. After that night, I stopped running, not because I was brave, because there was nowhere left to run. I kept walking, across cities I used to know, across places I'd never seen. Sometimes the sky changed too quickly. Sometimes the streets were bent wrong, as if they were copied from memory, but drawn by a trembling hand. Time didn't matter anymore. A second could last a day. A whole day could disappear between blinks. I stopped counting. And then, I saw one, another like me, not a shadow, not a watcher, a person, a boy, sitting by the side of the road, knees tucked in, head buried in his arms. I approached slowly. "Can you see me?" I asked. He looked up. His eyes were gray, his face pale, but he nodded. "They forget us," he said. "Even the ones who cried the most, they forget." I didn't know what to say. I didn't ask his name. He didn't ask mine. We just sat. Later, I wandered again, and found more. A girl in an abandoned classroom, drawing circles in the dust. An old man standing in the middle of a river, unmoving. A woman in a wedding dress, pacing back and forth in front of a broken door. They were all like me, half here, half lost, souls without weight, without purpose. One day I found myself standing in front of my old university, but it wasn't right. The walls were cracked, the sky above it purple and torn. No students, just echoes. I walked into the lecture hall and saw empty chairs, but the blackboard still had notes from my last exam, except the chalk was red, and it said, "You were not meant to stay." I turned around, and the hall was empty again. I began to wonder, had I missed something? Was I supposed to move on? Was I stuck between two places? I wasn't being judged. I wasn't being punished. I was just forgotten. I would have stayed there forever, wandering, watching, fading. But then, he came. I don't know how long I wandered. Time didn't matter here. No days, no nights, just movement and silence. Then I stopped, not by choice. Like the air itself told me to rest. I collapsed beneath a strange tree. Its bark looked like silver. Its branches moved gently, though there was no wind. The ground beneath me was humming. I had no more questions, no more strength, just stillness. Then I saw him. He stepped out from the mist. Tall, dressed in white linen, clean, glowing, no seams on his robe, no stains, and yet he wasn't shining like a light bulb. He was brighter, but softer. His feet didn't make a sound, but everything around him responded. The ground stilled. Even the atmosphere seemed to honor him. He looked at me. Not just looked. He knew me, like he had always known me. He called my name, and the moment he did, it was like something inside me came alive again. Hope, identity, purpose. You were not meant to stay here, he said. His voice wasn't loud, but it carried power. Your body rested, but your time isn't over. There's still purpose in the earth for you. I tried to reply, but my words felt small. He didn't rush me. He raised his hand, not to command, but to invite. I reached out and touched him. His hand wasn't cold. It wasn't hot. It felt like life itself, like touching peace. The moment our hands met, the world around us changed. We weren't walking, but we were rising, not like flying, more like being carried upward by something greater than gravity. We moved, past trees, past clouds, past everything I had ever known. And then, we arrived, at the edge of something I don't have words for. The gate, massive, not made of wood or metal, not earthly at all. It pulsed like it was alive, shimmering with glory, like every part of it was singing without sound. There were flames, but no burning. Waves of water, but no wetness. A living gate built from truth. And behind it, movement, not shadows, but beings. Real, radiant, crowns, wings. A realm stretching beyond time. I heard voices, thousands, some praising, some speaking words full of light. Every sound was filled with purpose. Every word pure. Nothing in this place was confused. Nothing was sad. There was no sorrow here, only glory. The man in white stood beside me. You may only look, he said. This realm is for the redeemed, and your time isn't yet. I nodded, though my heart longed to step closer. He placed his hand on my head, and suddenly, I saw, not with my eyes, but with my spirit. He let me glimpse the mind of God. I saw thrones, not of fire, but of majesty. Scrolls that carried destinies. Books that spoke names into generations. I saw angels, radiant, full of joy, each one carrying assignments. I saw moments from eternity, creation, redemption, the victory of Jesus. No confusion, no chaos, only order, only love. Then I saw souls, not wandering, not weeping. They were worshiping, serving, growing in the knowledge of Christ. No sadness, just glory. And in that moment, I understood. Heaven isn't far. It's just hidden from the natural eye. And I wasn't called there yet. Then the man in white spoke again. You are not finished. Your time was interrupted, but your purpose remains. You must go back. And when you return, tell what you've seen. I wanted to ask, why me? But before I could speak, the gate began to fade. Not close. Fade. Like it stepped back behind a veil. The light dimmed, the glory pulled away, and then I fell, not in fear, but like I was being released, back into time, back into breath, back into my purpose. There was no tunnel, no bright light, just breath. One sharp gasp, like I was drowning, and then air. I opened my eyes. Slowly, the ceiling above me was unfamiliar. White, flickering, too bright. A humming machine buzzed near my head. I tried to sit up, my body screamed. I was in a hospital, alive, awake, breathing. Voices rushed in. Nurses, a doctor, a scream, a cry. My mother. He's awake. Jesus. He's awake. Hands grabbed me. Too many hands. Faces blurred with joy and panic. Tears. Laughter. Prayer. I was back. But I wasn't me. They said I had collapsed in a commercial bus 2 weeks ago. No pulse. Declared gone on arrival. But then, my body never decomposed. And now here I am. Blinking. Breathing. Returned. I didn't speak for 3 days. Not because I couldn't, but because I didn't know how to speak of what I'd seen. How do you describe gates that burn without fire? How do you explain the feeling of time folding into itself? How do you tell someone you saw your own mother cry beside your coffin and watched it from the other side? Eventually, I found my voice, and I spoke, not to prove anything, not to impress anyone, just to obey, because he told me, speak what you have seen. So here I am, telling you, not what I learned, but what I lived. I don't need you to believe me. I don't even need you to understand. But know this, I died. I wandered. I saw things no living soul should ever see. And now, I'm back. But I didn't come back alone.